My name is Shirshendu from the Kingdom of Lesotho. I am a second-year student master's program here at KIDS School of Mass Communication. To begin with, I'd like to welcome everyone today to the special occasion of World Sports Journalism Day 2022, celebrating the spirit of sports journalism and the efforts of sports journalists across the globe who make our engagement with sports more lively and interesting. I would like to extend in particular a warm welcome to the guest speakers, Mr. Shrishendu Roy and Mr. Bihan Sengupta of Cricbuzz, Director General of KSMC, who will later join us, faculties, students, and participants from across India. World Sports Journalist Day is celebrated every year on July 2nd, also referred to as International Sports Journalist Day. It was created in 1994 by the International Sports Press Association to celebrate its 70th anniversary. Sports journalism developed during the 1980s but was centered on elitist sports and was more focused on reporting social context of sports events. And in the 1920s, the profession began to take shape as newspapers dedicated more time and space to sports journalism. In the just a minute. Am I audible, sir? Am I audible, sir?
Yeah, you are.
Thank you very much. Apart from covering breaking news stories about sporting events, teams, players, and organizations, sports journalism has provided Sports journalism has provided a way for people to have conversations about pressing social issues. KSMC Press Club, a student-run group, saw it fit to organize a quiz in celebration of World Sports Journalism Day. I have to confess, I am not well versed in sports myself, but I did score a decent 7. The quiz was circulated on official social media pages of the school, and we got an overwhelming response from the participants. A total of 139 people participated from across colleges and universities in India. After the guest speaker speeches, we'll announce the names of the winners. The club has also invited renowned sports journalists who have made their mark in Indian media to grace the event. They are Mr. Shrishendu Roy and Mr. Bihan Sengupta. Both of them are associated with Cricbuzz, a unit of Times Internet Limited. To begin the proceedings, I would like to invite from the School of Mass Communication, Dr. Bidu Bhushan Desh, the course coordinator, to introduce the KSMC Press Club. Thank you, sir. Over to you.
Thank you, Shijwe. Am I audible? Good afternoon, esteemed speakers of the day, my colleagues, my beloved students and participants across India and India. It's a great privilege to work with, to associate with School of Mass Communication. As we know, it dreams large, and we are always trying our best to do the best. So as part of, we are working the larger kit framework, which is very much aspiring, motivating for the faculty members, for the students, for the alumni, and even for the industry. Though the school is new, which was started in 2016, a 6-year-old school, but doing any number of activities every year, and especially to engage the students in a creative space. As you know, the journalism is a creative space, so students do many activities, many societies. There are many societies in the university, but as the school is new, this is our second society, second club of the school. The school has a very successful public relations club, uh, which was started in 2021, just 1.5 years old club, but has created a digital footprint in the last 1.5 years. And in fact, it's the first program of KSMC Press. In the last KSMC year club, Public Relations Club, our Honorable Director General, who is a renowned filmmaker, the good news is that Sir is selected as the appointed as the director of one of the very prestigious institute of the country. He is a very renowned filmmaker, Professor. He approved the idea to start the KSMC Press Club, the last KSMC PR Club. And this is the first meeting of KSMC Press Club, and we did it in a very auspicious day. The day we are celebrating World Sports Journalist. And we are really thankful to sports journalists who give their consent to join this session as guest speakers and to share their experience and knowledge with us in the participants. And I don't know whether I will be given any scope as for the agenda to speak later. Let me thank to the team here. In fact, we did this program in a very short notice. Within 2 days, we made it successful. So I thank my colleagues, Anurag, Shoptik. In fact, Shoptik has done the most of the work, and also Rajiv sir, Aniruddha, Shananda, who became the source of motivating to organize this program by inviting Shirshendu and Bihan, and obviously Ruby Ma'am and Chinmay. And I also thank to the academicians of the country, because when we had no expectation that we will get more than 100 participants for this quiz competition. When you share that news in all the academia WhatsApp groups, I really thank the academia of the country, those who helped us to reach more than 100 participants. That circulated our poster in a campaign mode, and they could make it successful. So I also thank my student volunteers, Shata Padma, those who contributed immensely for designing the posters and helping Shoptik in all the assignments to make success. Also the moderators, CJ, and I think Soumya is doing in the latter part. So it's a group effort not only of the school, but also of our resource persons who gave their kind consent within a day to be the part of the event. Also, in a larger framework, the whole academia of the country, as well as our university leaders, our honorable founder, our honorable vice chancellor, our registrar sir, as well as our director general. So with this brief note, I'll come to the next part. I will not take much time. I will share one of my experiences, because I started my career as a sports journalist. So, and I'm a failed sports journalist. I tell that story in all my classes. When I was doing my master's in journalism in Utkal University, it was just 2 hours class, and we are getting time to do part-time job. I started my career in Prajatantra, one of the oldest Odia Delhi, as a sports servant. So I had never gone to cricket field or any ground. I had never read any sports page, but one of my teachers had advised me, which I go against that advice nowadays. That whatever assignment will be given, you have to say yes. And I did that mistake when my editor, Mr. Bhartwari Mahtab, who is a member of Parliament from Cuttack, said you have to do sports page. I recall the advice of my mentor, Mr. Dilip Bishoi, who is the Chief Information Commissioner of the state now, and I said yes. In fact, I had no idea because most of the Odia stories are translated stories of English. In fact, I had no idea what to translate set. So, for example, set is translated as set, but I translated as bowl. So those kind of mistakes we do in our early career. And in fact, I had forgotten the larger mistake, the big mistake I had done, for which reason I was kicked out from Tantra. And again, I joined in the sports page of Pragati Badi. So during Pragati Badi, I experienced the FIFA World Cup. I have memories sleeping on the desk because World Cup ends at 2 o'clock in the night. I have to edit the translate and edit the last story of the page, and then it will go to the print section. So I had you can say, I had a small time assignment with sports with Pradatantra and Pragati Badi, which I can't forget. So when we thought to celebrate this program, it was nostalgic. I will not take much time. So thank you, Shirve. I hope to listen interesting stories from Shirshendu.
Thank you so much, Steph. Thank you for giving us that brief history of your journey in reporting journalism. It was really interesting to know that about you. Moving on forward, I would like to highlight that both the speakers today are no less than icons in their respective ways for the kind of work they have done in sports journalism. And more importantly, both of them are working in the same organization as a team. Our first guest is Mr. Shrishendu Roy, a media professional with 15 plus years experience across various verticals from content creation as text and radio commentator to senior sub-editor. He is one of the leading names in the field, and currently he's leading the video product strategy team at Cricbuzz, as part of which his team has created an IPL weekly show in 2021 with a successful integration of Upstox on it called Reverse Sweep, fronted by Harsha Bhogle. He also developed March Party, a one-of-its-kind celebrity fan watch-along show during IPL 2021 and T20 World Cup 2021. He holds a Masters and MPhil degree in journalism and mass communication. Our second speaker, Mr. Bihan Sengupta, is a sports journalist and currently works as a producer at Cricbuzz. He has worked with various other organizations such as the Telegraph, Hindustan Times, and The Quint. He completed his master's from Symbiosis, Institute of Media and Communication, and had started his career in print medium before slowly making a mark in the digital space as well. He's also a member of International Sports Press Association, the AIPS, and has covered several tournaments across sports disciplines throughout his career. Moving on to the next segment, I would like to invite our first speaker, Mr. Shrishendu Roy, to share and reflect on his thoughts, experiences, and journey as a sports journalist in India, covering big events and the prospects and challenges in the field. Sir, you can take up to 20 minutes. Thank you so much. Over to you.
Firstly, thank you so much. I never thought that my LinkedIn profile will be of any use. When I wrote this and, tried to, note down all the things that, I might have done in the last 15 years. Thank you so much for reading it. I thought I'm the only person who will end up reading it. So very kind of you. Thank you so much. And it's a little weird. I would say it's a little, partly overwhelming, partly embarrassing to be talking about your own self, especially to students and people who come from my state. And obviously, I know the challenges of both journalism and sports journalism so well in Odisha. And I'm really honored that you feel that I can add a little bit of value to today's event. Firstly, some very good work being done at your school and at your club, and I really wish and hope that you all are able to carve some great careers out there. Why I say this is because I'm quite aware of the challenges back in our state, especially because I work on cricket. And I'll take you back to 2004 when I started off doing cricket commentary. And it's quite a funny story. I hope it seems the same to you. So it was during one of the inter-school cricket tournaments, which of course is a very big affair in Cuttack. And I was there as, one of those wannabe guys from our school, cheering on our batchmates. Obviously not good enough to make it to the 11, but good enough to, shout from the sidelines. And, there was commentary going on by my mentor, who happened to be the semi-finalist at the contest called Harsha Ki Coach, wherein, there was this contest run by ESPN Star. The winner will go on to sign a one-year contract with ESPN Star and do commentary and presentation. So he was doing commentary there, and here I was thinking that, okay, big deal, he's on the mic and doing commentary. Everybody in India has done that, and like a dear friend of mine always mentions that in India especially, when a dream to become a Tendulkar stops, the dream to become a Harsha Bhogle begins. So if you're not good enough to play cricket, you're obviously very good to do commentary, is what everyone thought. And I was no different. So even I thought the same, that, okay, I'm not good enough to play, but I can do commentary. And somebody actually went and told, the guy doing commentary that, there's this guy downstairs, on the ground. He claims that he can actually do commentary just like you are. And within a couple of minutes, I was asked to come onto the dais and given the mic. Okay, show us what you got. And because my friends were playing, and because we are used to, so much of, television commentary, the first mistake that I did was I called my friend who's the captain of our school team as the captain of the Indian team. Then all of a sudden, mugged it up with a few fielders at point. I thought that, okay, it is one of the Indian cricketers who dived. So all in subconscious mind, all the commentary that you had heard was actually coming out on the mic. And then I realized that, okay, it's really not that easy. It's always better from the sidelines. But the journey began there. And obviously, absolutely no clue. I'll be very honest to all the students and the faculty here that never ever did I think that, I'll make a career out of this. In all those fancy slam books of, all the girls and guys we filled out in school, I used to write that I want to be a software engineer because that's fancy. I had no clue about, what software engineering is, but it was fancy to write. So I used to write that and never really, knew that, how to, achieve it. And so the commentary went on, and I started doing commentary in quite a few, inter-school cricket tournaments and state tournaments. And all of a sudden in 2006, I get this, email from the founders of Cricbuzz.com. So Cricbuzz.com also has a very fascinating story. So in the year 2004, when India went to Pakistan, after a gap of about 15 years, if I'm not wrong, last time they went was when Tendulkar played in 1989. So after 15 years, India went to Pakistan. Obviously, it was a huge deal. All the founders, the three founders of Cricbuzz, are all Infosys employees in the US, in the Silicon Valley. And they realized there is no way of, following the game. What do we do? So what they did is they created an Excel sheet back in the day. Obviously, spreadsheets weren't there. So they would fill out the scorecard on the Excel sheet, upload it online. And the website, the original name of Cricbuzz website was indopark2004tour.com. They put it on a server which had about 8 websites. They uploaded a couple of scores. Second match, that entire server crashed. So they realized, okay, cricket is that big in India. Scores are that important on digital. Maybe we can try. And amidst this period of, Cricbuzz finding its own feet, in 2004, and, me doing commentary here in an obscure town of Cuttack, far away from the Silicon Valley, there were a few newspapers, who were kind enough to, cover a story of a school guy who is doing commentary and he aspires to become a commentator, which again are all vanilla quotes. I just, said it out there. When people came to interview, I said, oh, I want to be a commentator. Didn't mean a thing. And then, they ran a Google search. Obviously, commentators, commentary, or say, even writing back then wasn't really an out and out, say writing, say a career option. You don't get certificates to become a commentator or say any training course or a crash course to become a commentator. So they did a Google search and, luckily for me, and I would assume luckily for them as well, they figured out that, okay, there's this newspaper clipping from Cuttack on a newspaper about this guy who is doing commentary, but doing obviously audio commentary, which we hear on TV. So they reached out to me on my email ID, which obviously was created from a cyber cafe at the cost of 30 rupees an hour, because we didn't have computers at home. We didn't know what digital is. Forget about ball by ball commentary. Forget about website. The only website we knew was rediffmail.com, yahoo.com, and google.com. I think I didn't even know google.com, to be very honest. So I received this email, and obviously all those nobody emails back in the day. So all the emails that you get is mostly spam. But luckily enough, I stumbled upon the email. I wrote back to them that, what, I would be interested in commentary. And at the age of 18 years and 13 days, I did commentary on the first ever international match, that I could. So it was a Sri Lanka-South Africa test match in the year 2006, my first as a text commentator. And, from there on, in a couple of years' time, me along with my colleague, we created a pool of text commentators. And this now, and I hope this is an inspiring enough story, now I'll come to the crux of it. Cricbuzz.com, headquartered in Bangalore, created during their times in Silicon Valley, had commentary originate from Cuttack, and Cuttack was running the entire commentary for Cricbuzz from 2006 to 2016. During this journey, Cricbuzz became the #1 cricket website in the world, the #1 cricket app in the world, became home to, like they say, Cricinfo is the home of cricket. Cuttack is the home of text commentary for Cricbuzz. And dare I say, because we are the best in text commentary, home of text commentary in the entire world. So that is how, our journey began. And, over a period of time, we were able to create a team in Bangalore, pick out people, failed engineers or engineers who were, just, like I aspired to be, wanted to be engineers, then realized, okay, it's not my cup of tea. I like sports. And, Cricbuzz and other websites, presented an opportunity. And, what really panned out to be was a pool of commentators, say in Bangalore, and Cricbuzz becoming what it is at this point in time. Moved on to do audio commentary. Again, during this phase, did audio commentary on very memorable games, the 2007 T20 World Cup final, the bowl out between India and Pakistan prior to that, the 2011 World Cup final. During this journey, obviously, I also got a chance to be the voice of Airtel IVRS. So Airtel was the official sponsor of the 2011 World Cup. So all the commentary that you heard during that period was actually my voice on Airtel. So I was the leading voice on Airtel. And, through that, we, over that period of time, I can safely say that, I must have covered about 2,500, international matches during this whole commentary stint. And in 2016, I thought, and amidst all this, because I was studying all this while, so 2006, when I joined, I was still in my 12th standard. When I went on to do T20 World Cup commentary, I was doing my graduation. So I was a science student. I changed it up to, humanities so that, I could make time for, commentary. And obviously the founders were kind enough to give me a week's gap so that, I can, mug up enough to, pass my examinations. From there, go on to, then figured out that, okay, there is, masters in journalism, which can be done from Cuttack itself. So Revansha had, this JMC department, led by one of my most favorite human beings, Mr. Benudar Panda. He was our head of the department. So again, needed a lot of support. So all this while, while I was working, needed a lot of support from the academicians to, help me get the study part of it going quite well as well. And luck would have it, I also ended up being the gold medalist during my master's in journalism. After that, Commentary was going on, everything was going hunky-dory. Applied for MPhil in Central University, Odisha. That is where I met our dear Anirudh, who was my junior there. I was trying to do MPhil. Of course, very proud to say that Anirudh obviously went on to do much, much greater things in life than, I could ever do at Central University. Pleading with others to, make help me with notes and all, because I was still working there. From there on, I went on to, work with the editorial team, played a decent enough role in covering a lot of games. So quite a few iconic games I was to be a part of. The man of the hour these days, Dinesh Karthik, saw that crazy Nidahas Trophy miracle that he pulled off. So I was there at the game there, covering that game. And obviously, had a chance to, cover a lot of India cricket, a lot of IPL, and then in 2019, moved on to the video team. So from text commentary to audio to writing, then went on to, create programs for Cricbuzz in England for the World Cup, create some, music videos during that period, a lot of feature stories, and so on and so forth. And right now, obviously, we are very proud of, the stuff that we do at Cricbuzz, in the sense we are the makers of the #1 digital analysis show for all India cricket games, World Cups, IPLs, and also I lead the product and work with all these cricket experts. So this, in a way, in a nutshell, and I hope I didn't take too much of a time, is my journey. As say a wannabe commentator to being a commentator to be a writer, to now working with people who we have grown up watching and listening to. And I will actually take you back to the whole journey, and now talk about what are the challenges and the opportunities presented by this. So I think back in 2013 or 14, when Deccan Chargers used to get about, say, 4 games or 5 games in Baravati Stadium as the catchment area, I happened to run through a lot of influential sources to get this pass called the Players Box Pass, which happened to be through the same corridor as the commentators would go. And when I was entering that corridor with that pass to watch the game from possibly the best seat in the house, I bumped into Harsha Bhogle. And I see Harsha Bhogle, pulling out his blazer from the car and getting down, and I run behind him saying, "Sir, can I have an autograph?" And obviously he was busy and he was huffing and puffing, trying to, quickly go to the commentary box. And he said, "Some other time." Similar incident around 2013-14, when, Zahir Khan was trying to make a comeback, playing a Ranji game at the Dreams ground in Tangi, in the district of Cuttack. Went there trying to get a few pictures, just like all of you would have. Obviously when a Zahir Khan or a Tendulkar is in town, and if you know people where you can get close to the ground, you'd want a picture with them, you would want an autograph with them. Tried to get there, Z security cordoned off that day. And probably during that whole process, I kept telling myself that need to do something so meaningful with all the commentary experience and all that I want to be, that from aspiring to be one of them, to get to work with them. And now I can proudly say that Zahir Khan is probably on my phone book, and I spoke with him yesterday. And I will be working with Harsha in, say, about 12 hours time from now on a show that is on Cricbuzz. And Virendra Sehwag and I work so closely together. And so by this, what I mean to say is, opportunities are always limitless, and even sky is not the limit. So if you can dream, even from, say, an inter-school cricket ground in Cuttack, to doing commentary from, say, a tiny room in Bakshi Bazaar in Cuttack, to work with, say, the #1 property and the #1 experts and broadcasters and cricketers in the country or in the world right now, all that you need to do is dream. Why sports journalism is so fancy today, or say people want to be sports journalists, is because it's the only profession, I believe, is which you get attracted to as a fan. I'm sure a lot of people want to be doctors and engineers, but if I ask them about how many open heart surgeries has a Dr. Devi Shetty done, nobody would be able to tell me. If I ask the number of patents that Professor Dr. Vishveshwaraya had as the father of engineering in India, You won't be able to tell it. But if I ask you how many times a Tendulkar adjusts his helmet or, tucks into his trouser before taking strike, you would be able to tell me. How many times a Tendulkar got 100, you would be able to tell me. How many times a Sindhu won at the Olympics, you would be able to tell me. You can tell me the latest record of Neeraj Chopra as well. That is how fascinating sports is. So you enter the sports as a fan like I did. The first reality check when you get into, while you enter the sports is you can't be a fan. That's the gap between, so you are a fan, you get into sports journalism, you enter sports journalism and you're told that you can't be a fan. You have to be objective. So difficult because you're seeing your heroes right in front of you, but you have to be critical when they're not doing well. You have to praise, but within limit, because they might feel that you're doing a favor today and tomorrow they might expect another good piece on them, but probably they haven't done that well. So this whole world of sports journalism is very fascinating. But coming into this whole, say, spectrum of sports journalism in Odisha, when obviously I started off, and even now, we got a game after such a long time at Baravadi Stadium, specifically talking about cricket. But when it comes to, say, hockey, we can proudly say that we are, pretty much the hub of hockey. So if we are the hub of hockey, we can be the hub of sports journalism as well. And we now have so many journalism schools in the state, so many sports journalists to be, looking up to, that we can actually make it not just a dream or a passion, but also make it our profession. And it's not really that impossible to be done. Like I mentioned, if my journey is of any note or any inspiration, it can be done by each one of you. And all that it needs is probably channelizing your energies in the right direction and knowing exactly what you want to do. And like Sir mentioned, saying yes to everything probably might not help. And in life, having worked with so many people, the most important thing is you must be able to know what are the things you can't do. Once you're able to eliminate all of that, you would know what you're good at. And that is exactly what, you need to learn around sports journalism as well. It's not impossible to be, to become a sports journalist if you're from Odisha. It is very important if you have done something of note to, probably give it back to the students. And I'm so happy that, you guys allow me the opportunity of, speaking to so many students around who would, probably want to ask a few questions or, want to pick on the inspiring parts of the journey to, believe that it is possible. So this overall, is the world of, sports journalism. And thanks to lockdown, thanks to pandemic, one thing that has happened is if you have internet at home and if you have phone at home, you don't even need a selfie stick or a gimbal or a tripod. And if you're good enough to speak in front of the camera, if you have a keyboard in front of you, if you have a laptop with you, good enough to type out whatever you feel, there is at least one platform waiting for you to express your thoughts. If there is no platform, the power of internet is such you can create your own platform. And there are so many of them these days that we at Cricbuzz, I do not have any shame in admitting there are days when an independent creators platform does better than Cricbuzz, because no content sells better than personalized content. So if you come to think of it, the more personal the content is, the more customized it is. And especially for something like sport, which is probably the most personal medium or personal vehicle of communication. If you are able to, marry both of that, I think success is just, one step away. All that you need to do is not complain or crib or, worry or regret about who will take my work, than you being in a position of creating your own niche, your own platform, and putting your work out there. And you never know. You might just get a mail from the Silicon Valley to an obscure town in Cuttack that we want you to do text commentary or some sort of commentary at Cricbuzz. Thank you so much. I hope whatever I said made a bit of sense to you and was able to, if not inspire or motivate, because those are like really large words, at least give you the belief that if a guy from Cuttack could do it, everybody else can, not just in Odisha, but everywhere else. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir, for the inspiring and definitely motivational talk that you just gave. Now we move on to our next speaker, Mr. Bihan Sengupta. Sir, you will also get 20 minutes to share your experience of working as a sports journalist in India, the challenges and the opportunities in the field. Thank you. Over to you, sir.
You're not audible, Bihan.
Now am I?
Yes, yes, absolutely.
First of all, apologies for all the technical issues I've been facing. So my audio is via laptop, my video is via my phone. I have a terrible background and I should be ashamed of being a producer with such a frame in my background. But those are secondary bits. Uh, it feels really good to be among you all today, especially with Shish around as well. It's a very bright day, if you put it that way, like World Sports Journalist Day. When you say of it, when you speak of it, I mean, this is something that you grow up with every single day, and you don't even realize that sports is such an integral part. I mean, there's war happening in Ukraine, there's some political drama in Maharashtra. You always, when like the students out here, I'm pretty sure the first thing you do is take the newspaper and go to the last page. That's where your happiness and entertainment lies. You don't want to read the grim news upfront, the political jargons and everything. Sports gives you that one bit of happiness that probably all other news platforms don't give you. You know what has happened, like in the day and age of internet and digital media. You have a, like Shish pointed out, you have a phone, you have a laptop, TV back home. You know exactly what has happened. India versus England going on, you know exactly how many runs Rishabh Pant scored, Jadeja scored, but you still take out the newspaper and you read the analysis because you want to know more. You go to a digital platform, you watch Cricbuzz, you get to know what the digital analysts think of it. So that's the beauty of World Sports Journalist Day, that every single day, the people who bring you that happiness, you are a part of it as well. Because if we had no audience, no one would hear us. So till the point in time we have an audience, we know what to share, what to write, what to think, what to comment. And that is how this is such a beautiful opportunity for both of us out here, like me and Shish, to be speaking in front of so many of you young, bright minds who would be not just our compatriots tomorrow. We hope you all eventually turn out to be our competitors as well. Because every year, at least 6,000 sports journalists pass out. Grim warning, there aren't that many jobs in the market. So till the point in time, you don't enhance your skills, polish your skills, because Rishabh Pant scoring a century is something that 1.3 billion people saw yesterday. How is your view different? How did you rate that knock different? That is going to make you a cutthroat competition in the market. So when it comes to challenges of sports media today, there are a few, but there are a few ways you can tackle that challenge as well, honestly speaking. Because when I say there aren't too many jobs, there are people working out there as well. So it all depends how you focus your energy, how you focus your work, and you make it presentable. So how I started my journey out was, I wasn't ever so gifted like Shirshendu is. He wanted to be an engineer. My class 7-8 results told me that is one sector I am not gonna go in. Never ever. So I knew I had to write. I liked writing. My essays would go on for 4 pages. My science entire paper would be summed up in 4 pages. So I'm like, लिखना तो है. अभी क्या लिखना है? Sports अच्छा लगता था. So once you sort of know what to write and you start writing, that comes in a flow. So I started out my journey in class 9. Class 9, 10, 11, 12, I worked for the Statesman Voices. And we were given assignments like from one school to another. It was a supplementary newspaper of the Statesman. But what happened was my grammatical skills were polished very early in my age. And the knack of reporting, to be there from the side. I mean, we all watch television and we all get to see the same cricket or football or hockey or whatever sport you're watching. But there's that niche of going to the stadium and watching it live, because you don't get to hear the audience sounds. You don't get to see what Dhoni told Kohli when the camera was not panned on them, or probably there was a break going on. So as a reporter, those are the small fine tunings that you need to keep noting down, because the rest everyone can see. How are you different as a reporter? And this works everywhere, for digital or for print or for radio. anything that you can provide, something that is new, something that's not available elsewhere, that is where your challenge lies in today's journalism. Because today, everyone can see everything. Everyone knows everything. Everyone. Rohit Sharma is out with COVID. The BCCI mail came way later. It was out on Twitter. But obviously, as responsible journalists, you couldn't put it out. But you knew. So everyone knows there's some idiot out there who is going to leak the news. So in digital media, you have to be the fastest hand on the Twitter platform. Second, you need to not just tell the story, you need to narrate a story. Telling a story is very simple. But when someone narrates a story, I mean, so many commentators in today's era, why do we still listen to Harsha Bhogle? Because he narrates a tale. He doesn't tell a tale. So those are the fine tuning. So you have the same content as Harsha Bhogle, right? He saw the same match, saw the same match. But why will I listen to Harsha Bhogle? Because of his analysis. Because of the way he presents the story. That is your challenge. How to go one better than your compatriot. From Statesman, I did my college. So me and Shananda are basically, we are classmates rather, in Ashutosh College. We both studied mass comm journalism. So when I was doing Ashutosh College, I was doing mass comm in Ashutosh College. If anyone told me I would be interviewing Sachin Tendulkar 3 years down the line, I would be like, thank you, but some other day. Because in college, you never put yourself out there thinking, okay, I'll be one of those as well tomorrow. Because the problem is when we are in college, when we are in school, we still think these are the people who we need to look forward to. This is what I'm hearing. This is a show that I'm watching. But trust me, it's just about 2 years. You'll be joining the industry tomorrow. So start thinking the entire scenario in such a manner that what if I was there at the press conference tomorrow? Rishabh Pant addressing a PC, or at the post-match, someone's just having a chat or a conversation with him. Talk to yourself. Keep jotting down. What if I was there? What would be the question I would have asked him? What are the answers that I would want out of him? So the more you polish your skills, the more better you get as a journalist, even without being a journalist. Like Shish pointed out, you need a laptop, a phone, anything. You just need to type. You need to start thinking as a journalist. The earlier you do, the merrier it becomes. For me, I was very lucky. I started out in class 9. So I knew, so like it starts, my first article wasn't brilliant. I wrote some 800, 900 words for an article that demanded probably 250 words. So I saw 750 got chopped out. I'm like, I must be such a horrible writer. But then I realized it wasn't that case. It's just that newspaper has space constraint. So even if I wrote a brilliant article worth 1,000 words, if the newspaper had space of just 200 words, they would only take 200 words, nothing, not a bit more. But with digital medium, you can write as many articles as you want. And that is how things have evolved. Things have changed. I started out with print medium. Today I am in digital medium because I know how the world is evolving. How people would want in today's era, they would want to know more in a very digital format. I mean, Shish would agree. In his age, he's from a dinosaur era. He used to read the newspaper. Today's era, they don't go beyond InShots, TikToks. 4-minute, 2-minute clips. Fatafat chahiye. I just need to know the news. I don't want detailed analysis. Again, if the audience did not exist, the journalists wouldn't. So as journalists, you have to adapt. You have to grow. You have to know what the audience wants. You have to plan your headlines accordingly. You have to plan your content accordingly. And you have to keep pushing the content in such a manner that they come back for more. Because right now, Cricbuzz is the #1 platform in the world. But there are at least 100 more websites where you can get the same result. So we need to, why do we work so hard? Because I need to retain my audience. If I push out a content, you see one day I'm like, no, Cricket was better. I lost an audience right there. So you have to keep adapting. keep changing, keep motivating yourself with the same content. How can I provide this content out there? So from my journey from Statesman, Telegraph, Hindustan Times, Quint, even Microsoft, and now Cricbuzz, it's been a very vast journey. I don't even want to get it started on that. But I'll tell you of a very interesting story. So this was in 2017. My boss calls me up and says, Sachin ka interview karega? I mean, I don't know how many guys are out here in this conversation, but the number of guys, at least half of them wanted to be Sachin Tendulkar when they were young. All wanted to. So we are basically failed cricketers, like Shish pointed out. And I was one too. And I was a very active cricketer. 4 of my fingers are gone, just saying, just by playing cricket. I was that mad a fanatic. Sachin, sure. You're thinking, you're no longer like, at that point in time, I was no longer a responsible journalist. For the next 15 minutes, I've gone on a down memory lane. Sachin Tendulkar, 2003, Sharjah, 98, wow. And then reality struck when his PR called me and said, Sachin does not want to speak on Arjun Tendulkar, any controversies, or Ravi Shastri and blah, blah, blah. But इसी पे तो बात करना था मेरे को. So like no Shastri Ganguly conversation, no Arjun Tendulkar conversation, no controversial questions. So again, here's a trick. If you get to do an interview, first of all, coax the interviewee into believing you're a fan. Then, when he's comfortable in the interview, just plug in a simple question that would make a headline. Whenever you go in for an interview, at least have 3 questions that can make a headline tomorrow. So my third last question was, sir, in your era, there was a beep test for fitness. There's yo-yo test now. And if one fails the yo-yo test, they don't get through to the Indian team. Do you think that yo-yo test should be the sole criteria? He gave me a one-word answer, no. Next day, HT put out a 7-column headline within quote marks, yo-yo test can't be sole criteria. Next day, 69 newspapers followed up that news. I know the number because I got that many Google alerts on my private account. Was quoted as saying to so and so of Hindustan Times. So, one interview, but even you would know that you would remember this interview because it made headlines. Whether Sachin tells you, yeah, India's gonna win 4-0 against England, that headline will die after the series. So you pick out a headline that's gonna stay. That when you search on Google, it stays, people remember. I mean, Shish wrote a very fine article on Karun Nair. Do read up. That interview made our former India captain go at the press conference. So Shrishendu was there present. He goes, Kohli. And Kohli turns to the Indian team media manager and says, Ye wo Karun Nair wala hai na? Your Indian team captain also reads your articles. It's bullshit, sorry for using that term, but when they say we don't read the media reports, it takes too much of mental toll on us. We just take freebies. No, they read everything. And it's your job to remind them that they are not doing the job correctly. It's a very cliche line that you have read in most journalism books, but a story is something that somewhere, some out there does not want to be published. If it's a good story, a positive story, his compatriots don't want it to be published. If it's a negative story, the person himself does not want it to be published. But that is what a story is. So keep that in mind whenever you think of a story, whenever you build a story, whenever you write a story. Start thinking as journalists. Because trust me, even before you know it, the semester will come to an end. You'll be sitting for your placements and you'll be joining us. That's all from my end. Thank you so much for the invite. It was a lovely session interacting with all of you. Thank you, everyone, from the bottom of my heart.
Thank you so much, sir, for the tips and the talks, sir. We will definitely remember them in the future. Now, I would like to invite Soumya Parija, a third-year undergrad student at the school, to moderate the next part of the event. Over to you, Soumya. Thank you.
Soumya, you are not audible. No. If you are sitting in the same room, you can use Sidgway's laptop, but do the job. No. You can use Sidgway's laptop. Sorry for the inconvenience.
I hope I'm audible.
Yes, yes.
Yes, so sorry for the inconvenience. Good afternoon, everyone. I am Soumya Parija, fifth semester student from School of Mass Communication, KSMC University. That was truly an interesting session. I must say the sports lover inside me just got charged up listening to both our guest speakers. And next up, we have the question answer session to make the session more interesting. So I request all the participants to post their questions in the chat box, or you can unmute yourself and ask the questions directly to our speakers.
I guess we have one question from Ajay Sahu. So may you can read it out. Ajay, would you like to unmute yourself and ask that question yourself?
Yes, sir. I can do that.
Yes,
Hello?
sure. Yes, you are audible. Please go ahead.
Yes, sir. Sir, how do sports journalists stay unbiased while writing articles about their favorite player? Because we all know we are fans of so many cricketers are there, so we are fans of them. So every time we discuss about them, so our inner fan comes out. So how to stay unbiased and how we can get some access to data so that we can discuss all these matchups and like who is better and all like that. So I want to know how to get access to the data. Thank you, sir.
Bihan, you want to go on this?
Yeah, you start. No worries. I'll take over.
That's a very, I think, that's the most interesting part, of our jobs, especially when both Bihan and me used to be on the field. And you're essentially, like Bihan mentioned, I'll just take a leaf from that. You're sitting in a press box, probably the best seat in the house, watching the same game as the other journalists. You want to make a difference. You want to see the same game, but write differently. And remember, there is a press conference just before the match and just after the match. And like Bihan mentioned, if somebody tells you that they don't read anything, I have a lot of reasons and proof to believe that even the Indian captain runs a search on Twitter to see what's being spoken about him. Hashtag his name, hashtag somebody else's name. And a lot of these cricketers also believe that, I should be talked about more and stuff like that. So when you are out there, like I mentioned, I think that was one of the first things that I mentioned when, I started off my share of talk. You enter the sport as a fan. And probably one of those very few professions where you enter as a fan because you're enchanted by the job itself. The people who are the job practitioners, basically those cricketers, the footballers, and all the other sports people. But the first day at job, you're reminded that now you cannot be a fan because you're not just writing for yourself, you're writing for a platform, more importantly. And your platform needs to be objective. And even though you might have an inherent bias, that bias needs to be backed up by the achievements and the performance of that particular sports person. So when you are out there trying to make a critical note, always remember there is, if you have written one article, there are at least 10 people standing right next to you telling you how many runs have you scored, or how many wickets have you picked, or how many goals have you scored. Answer is none. But also try to remind yourself that the number of articles that you have written, or the number of words you can stitch together to tell a good story, when asked the same thing to that sports person, will be none for them. You are here because you are good enough to tell a story. They're there because they're good enough to play the sport. And there's a vast difference. So we all are here doing our job. So if you think you can back it up, whatever critical piece that you want to write or critical video that you want to make, if you can back it up with enough reason, you have all the right to, write a critical piece. And that is how, in a way, it becomes unbiased as well. But always remember that you can't jump the gun, because your article would stay and nobody cares for the date stamp. They would always say that you criticize so-and-so sports person. And for that sports person to actually go out the next day and score the runs, or say score the goals, your article would be forgotten. The knock would be remembered. And we always play a supporting role to this entire, ecosystem. Our stuff could be forgotten. And, you can be unbiased, you can be critical, but very easily it gets erased off by a very good performance, which can be seen as a retaliation or an answer to your piece. So there would always be the challenge of, things coming back to bite you. But we all have to live in the present, just like the sports people do. And if we are not unbiased, we are definitely not doing our job rightly.
Exactly. If I carry forward from what she said, so I'm a huge Manchester United fan. I've at least broken 3 glasses in my entire lifetime. One notably in 2011, after Manchester City won that tying moment, league the manner in which they did, I just threw my glasses on the floor. Those things, when you are out there, now, why did I throw my glass? Was I angry at Manchester City winning it? No. I was angry with, why did Manchester United not win it? So even as a fan, when you enter the field, right, why Manchester United did not manage to win? The story is not Manchester City won it at the last moment. That's luck. That's special because that happens once in 100 years. Your critical piece should be on why Manchester United bottled up at the last moment. Why were they winning and they failed to win it? If it's Lewis Hamilton versus Carlos Sainz, why are Ferrari not being able to topple Red Bull despite having a better engine? You're a Ferrari fan, but write that. That's what people want to read. Lewis Hamilton wins another Grand Prix at blah 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 blah. Everyone knows. Why did Ferrari bottle up yet again at Monaco? People will read. That is where you have that bit of fandom remaining, because the 10% fandom that remains 1 year after joining the industry, try and keep that alive, because else you are not going to switch on the television anymore. Because the 100% fan that you were before joining the industry will get reduced to just 10% once you get to know how harsh the environment is. The way you look at sports journalism or everything is, there's a reason why you look up to that in such a manner, because it's not a very easy job. It's not your day-to-day 9 to 5 job. If they're playing in England, your work timing is different. If they're playing in Australia, your work hours are different. If they're playing in West Indies, your work hours are even worse. So it's not only Virat Kohli stepping out to play, you're also opening your laptop. So you're basically leading the life of a cricketer without being a cricketer. Harsh reality that reminded you why you came into the profession. Did not become a cricketer, became a journalist. He's out there with his bat, you're out there with your laptop. But this is that harsh industry. So fandom won't remain. Don't worry about that. The fanatic that you are about anyone, 90% though, within 1 year it will go. But keep that 10% alive. Do it. Switch on Star Sports and Sony Live to at least watch the match.
Thank you, sir. Next up, we have Nilanjan Naik. You can please unmute yourself and ask the question.
Yeah. Thank you very much, ma'am. And what I would like to say is, thank you very much, Sri sir, for this inspiring, experience that you have shared with us. And thank you very much, Bihan sir, that actually so valuable thing that you have shared with us. And personally, I have a question specifically to Sri sir. That right now, I am continuing my MGMC. I'm a second year student at IMS, Institute of Media Studies in Bhubaneswar. And I have a keen interest from the childhood, from high school level, to get attached in commentary. I have a keen interest to do the commentary. Right now, what I need to do. I would like to say one more thing, that actually I have no certificate, no proof like that, what I have done till now. But at village level, in block level, and once at the district level, but I have made the commentary in Hindi, as well as in Odia, that is very fluent. But what I need to do right at this time, Sri sir, please kindly suggest me. And if possible, I would like to physically meet you, sir. I'm very, very excited to meet you. I'm continuously watching and listening you very seriously. Please guide me, sir.
I won't be deflating. I won't be demotivating at all. But I would say I'll be very practical at this point in time. And the unfortunate part of this whole commentary business is it's become a retirement plan of cricketers, right? So the moment they're done on the field, and for a few they are not even done on the field, they're already doing commentary, or they're doing their vlogs on YouTube and on Twitter and all their other social media handles. What it really has done is it has taken the fan out of, say, the sports broadcasting industry. And if you say how, my answer to it is, why a Harsha Bhogle is still so relevant even after 30 years of broadcasting is because he thinks like you. He's as excited as you when, say, a ball leaves Virat Kohli's bat. You might not hear the same thing when, say, a Sunil Gavaskar mentions. He would still be talking about the elbow and the knee and the foot and the bat angle and how the follow through is. So the business is such, and I'll tell you where I'm coming from, because I'm responsible for the video product and the business and the strategy at Cricbuzz. If you ask me, I'm constantly trying to sign up cricketers for the broadcast, because for us sitting in the living room, I always keep giving the example of my father, from who I entirely started to watch the game and fell in love with the game, sitting next to him and watching the game. One thing that I've realized is the warmth of broadcast is that keeps broadcast going. The sooner the broadcasters realize it, the better it is. But unfortunately, broadcast commentary, basically television commentary, is out of reach at this point in time. Unless you are a Harsha Bhogle or, say, a Charu Sharma from the yesteryears, or in today's time, you could say somebody like a Jatin Sapru, who has been through the grind and was lucky enough to be at the official broadcaster when Star pivoted from doing just English commentary to Hindi and other languages. But what you can do, Nilanchal, is there are umpteen platforms who are doing unofficial commentary. When I say unofficial commentary, in our language, unofficial is something that doesn't go on official broadcast, which goes on television. There are platforms like, say, Fan Code and, a lot of YouTube platforms, a lot of, unofficial radio channels who have also come up, who, are doing commentary these days. And if you see, there's so many of these leagues coming up. So commentary, like cricket, is no longer restricted to be that, okay, I need to play for India. You might as well just play for IPL, make enough money and still be very successful and still be very popular. Similarly, commentary should not be restricted that I have to be heard on television or be seen on television. There are umpteen platforms out there who are actually doing equally good commentary, if not better, on multiple platforms, on multiple leagues across the world. As we speak, if you take a look at CPL, they are doing differential commentary. If you take a look at all these, state leagues and all, right from KPL and the one happening in Pondicherry right now, Fan Code is doing so much of commentary. So there are enough platforms you can actually go to if you have to, say, probably become a commentator. So if you had asked me this question 10 years back, I would have told you that it's not possible. Because you're asking me now, I'm sure you have 10x more opportunities than possibly I had, back in the day.
Thank
so
you
it's possible.
So one more thing actually. May I meet you physically? I am right now residing in Satyanagar in Bhubaneswar. As you said, you are in Cuttack. That may I meet you physically? Honestly, sir. Very excited.
Sure. I would look forward to that as well, and not just you. Maybe a whole lot of you at KSMC.
How can I contact you?
We have some concrete plans going forward, Shrishendu. So we'll look
So
into
kindly
materialize that.
message your phone number, please. Sir. I would like to talk with you.
Nilancha,
Yes, sir.
we'll talk about that later. Let the proceedings go forward. Thank you for your question.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Next up, we have a question from Ruby ma'am. She asks, why has women cricket not been able to achieve a fan following even after giving very good performances in the recent times? Do you think the scenario will change?
Bihan, I'm taking all the questions first. Come on here, take it now.
You're my boss for a reason.
So I'll be very honest. So this is Ruby ma'am asking the question, right? So ma'am, I put myself on mute by mistakes. Yeah. So ma'am, I'll be very honest with you. Women's cricket. There are two ways of looking at women's cricket. You asked about cricket or sports? Was it about cricket or specifically?
Ruby ma'am, you are mute.
Women's cricket in India.
Women's cricket.
Okay, women's cricket in India. So, ma'am, I will tell you there are two ways of looking at it. One is obviously the business side of it, and the other is obviously the entertainment side of it. And I don't see a reason why women's cricket can't be popular or won't be popular than what it is at this point in time. But being a part of the system, I understand a few roadblocks as well. But also being on the other side of the fence, also I understand the joy that we are missing out on. If you had asked me this question, say pre-2017, I would have had very little to answer. But 2017 World Cup final actually changed the entire way Indian women's cricket is looked at. And I don't have any qualms in admitting that what a Kapil Dev's 175 in 1983 at Tunbridge Wells is pretty much the equivalent of what Harmanpreet Kaur achieved in the semi-final of the 2017 World Cup versus Australia. So these are equivalents in the way landmark moments which are required to turn the sport around. So if a Kapil Dev knock happened in that 1983 and India went on to win the World Cup final, and then a 1985 World Championship happened, 1987 India went on to the semi-final, and then only in 96 India went to the semi-final and lost it. 99 they had an unceremonious exit. 2003 they went to the final. It was only in 2007 when India won a World Cup as such. And amidst all this, Indian cricket was measured in a currency called Tendulkar. Indian women's cricket also would have to be measured in such a currency. And that currency is already here. The currency is in the form of Smriti Mandhanas, the Shafali Vermas, the Jemima Rodrigues, and many more who I'm obviously not naming. I would have loved to name Mithali Raj and Harmanpreet Kaur and Jhulan Goswami, but obviously Mithali has just moved on and Jhulan has also moved on, and Harman would move on, say, in a year or two. So for that 1983 seeds to be sown and India to win a World Cup and then the next World Cup in 2007, similarly you track that same journey. 2017 India go to the final, don't win it. 2020 again in the T20 World Cup again, we go there to the final and we do not win it. That one World Cup win, I think will completely change the wheels of time, and we are only that one mega moment away from the whole perspective of it to change. BCCI has already introduced the 6-team IPL, which should be taking place next year onwards. So the moment the influx of foreign cricketers also come in, I think the whole scene of Indian women's cricket will also change. And after that, so ma'am, there are two ways of looking at it. Broadcast will take the lead and sport plays catch up. Sport takes the lead and broadcast then plays catch up. I would always prefer the second one to happen. And the sport is already taking the lead, and broadcast will play the catch up. And broadcast, in all broadcast, commentators, writers, all of us, we should, for however good we are, we should always play the second fiddle. And I think sport is already playing the first one. next year onwards, I think in a couple of years' time, you would see women's cricket in India is as big as it is in Australia, or even more. Because if BCCI can't do it, nobody else can.
Exactly, to carry on from where Shirish left, it's all about the successes. I mean, we started playing cricket in 1932. Women's cricket started in 1978. And till Ajit Wadekar won it in 1971 in England and West Indies, barring a few Norrie contractors and that generation, I don't think Indian men's cricket was also that popular. I mean, you don't have to look back too much. I mean, the match fees of the 83 World Cup winning side, that tells you how popular it was and how popular it wasn't. Because if you...
And you needed a Lata Mangeshkar to sing in a concert to raise a lakh for the cricketers to get prize money after winning the World Cup. We didn't even have a prize then.
You ask anyone who was an ardent sports follower, say between the 50s, not 50s, say 60s, 70s, more than an Ajit Wadekar, they would probably name a Sham Thapa. That was the generation of football that we had. And I mean, Shubhrata Bhattacharya, Sham Thapa, these iconic footballers that we had, we lost that entire sport. I mean, it's slowly recovering again, but you have to see the time. From 1932, it takes more than 61 years to win a World Cup. So from 78, they're already on their way. And with a women's IPL also being in the pipeline, I think that will also be a huge boost. I mean, it obviously adds more work for us, but if it brings more success to women's cricket, so be it. But I'm pretty sure women's IPL will do a hell lot of good, because if you ask anyone if they knew who Liam Livingston was 3 years back, they wouldn't. General fan on the street, but they now know because they saw him at the IPL. So when more international stars come into the limelight in Indian cricket circuit, the fans get to know of the various other female international cricketers who are worldwide. Because at any given point in time, we still talk about KL Rahul, Rohit Sharma, Virat Kohli, Ravindra Jadeja, Rishabh Pant. 5-6 men's cricketers also, despite there being the Bumrahs and Bhuvis and everyone, 5-6 top names. So, kitna charcha karenge with just 5-6 names? So I need more international stars coming into the market. So once that discussion starts between two friends that this player is better than the one we are, that is how it gets popular, because no one can make it popular apart from the audience. The audience needs to get hooked on. And like IPL is a brilliant platform for, I mean, for 2 months, you know someone in at least 3 television sets is watching the IPL. So you need that game's popularity to also grow with time. But I'm pretty sure, like Shiv said, even I'm pretty sure in max 4 to 5 years, it should be a really, really big thing in India.
Thank you so much. Fingers crossed.
Thank you, ma'am, for your question.
So may I can go to the next person.
Yes, thank you, sir, for the responses. Now we have the result announcement ceremony. To celebrate the spirit of sports and the relentless efforts of the sports journalist, School of Mass Communication, KSMC University organized an online quiz competition to mark the importance of World Sports Journalist Day. The competition marked 139 student participation from across colleges, institutions, and universities in India. The competition had 15 objective type questions related to various sports, and the candidate had to complete the attempt in 6 minutes. We are acknowledging those who have submitted the quiz within the time limit of 6 minutes. And we have 18 participants who have scored 15 out of 15. And we would like to acknowledge their extraordinary efforts with the certificate of achievement.
Something you may share your screen. So I may read out.
Yes, sir. First up, we have Aishwarya Swain. Next, we have Atul TK, Bhaskar Das, Dibya Ranjan Naik, Garima Joshi, Kaustubh Sarkar, Kripa Sahal, Mayuri Bairagi, Nilutpal Timsina, Nishit Subhankar, Priya Chauhan, Rupali Senapati, Savitri Das, Shailaja Tripathi, Subhashmita Panda, Sushant Kumar Sarangi, Shushmi Mishra, Varun Verma.
Excuse me, ma'am. Once again, can you please show Divyaranjan Naik? I was taking the screenshot. Please, ma'am. Once.
Divyaranjan, we will send you your certificate shortly, right after the event.
Thank you. Thank you.
We will mail the certificates to all the winners after the event. And we humbly request the winners to share the certificates in their social media accounts, tagging our school. The links of the social media pages of the school are already shared in the chat box. Please do follow. And a big congratulations to all the winners. I would like to share a small inspirational thought that my sports teacher shared with me, that in sports, more than the results, is the spirit with which the sport is played is celebrated. So to all the participants, we love your sporting spirit. With this, we have come to the end of today's event. I extend my gratitude to our guest speakers for taking out time from their busy schedules and gracing the event. It was wonderful to learn from your rich experiences. We had a great time. I would also like to thank Dr. Bidhu Bhushan Das, course coordinator, School of Mass Communication, and all the faculty members for their constant support and encouragement. A big thank you to all the participants. We look forward to more such competitions and events. Have a great day, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Shrishendu, Bihan. It was great.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Anirudh. Thank you so much, everyone. Congratulations to all the winners, and well done to all the other participants as well. I'm sure you guys will be, organizing a lot more competitions. Just keep the, spirit of sports journalism high, and just taking a cue from what, Soumya mentioned. She mentioned about sports. I would just like to add one more thing. Sports, I think, is the only place where you lose and you're still not a loser. You only learn. So yeah, let's just keep that spirit high. And I'm sure there are lots and lots of journalists waiting to, burst out of the scene from Odisha. And nobody is going to be, more proud than I am going to. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you so much for joining, everyone. The meeting is over for the day.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Bihan. Thank you, everyone.